Welcome everyone to the Shelly Sharpe Memorial in Scottsdale, Arizona, playing the Vista del Camino XL layout. We have Ohn Scoggins on the lead card, myself, Jennifer Allen, Andrea Eaton, and Ashley Phelps has joined us for the last day, bumping up to the lead card. Here we go, round number 3.
Starting off on hole number 1, which is a par 3, 284 feet.
Want to make that triple Mando right off the tee, get through the guardian trees that are hanging pretty low, and then you have to slide up to the basket. You cannot go too far because OB is about circle's edge, also lines all the way up the side of the fairway. We're starting today off with a little bit of drizzle, supposed to kind of rain off and on all day.
And Ohn just hit an early branch there, bounces straight down. Yours scoots up to circle's edge.
Sorry, I dirtied that up for you.
So again, we'll be dealing with where we want to tee from today because the tee pads out here definitely get slick in the rain. So we will have to decide, do we want to take the dirt relief to the side, which is why they give us that on almost every single hole. Ashley joining us. She's a local here from Phoenix. An instructor at a couple of the local colleges. So awesome local to play with. I believe this is her first time on league card, so super fun. Ohn with the approach.
And it looks like she pulled her approach shot a little right there, getting up to the fence. And this is a kind of a scary putt. Downhill. The OB line actually comes off of the banners there for about a meter. So, but that was a great. She's under the pin. She won't have an issue getting a 4.
And Andrea was not even attempting to go for this, but you have to be very careful. Even though a lot of these greens look flat, there's so much slope under a lot of the baskets. So I've watched Andrea's just hit perfectly and stand up and roll. So a little hesitant on giving it that big push with that OB coming up behind. So let it go soft. Andrea now with the circle's edge comeback putt.
Mrs. Lowe, this basket is slightly elevated. It's not, you can see the pole sticks up on the top too, so it's somewhere in between normal height and elevated. So that can also definitely play into putting a little bit.
Yeah, first hole jitters. It's rainy, it's cold. I felt like we were all kind of asleep. We didn't really have that positive, bouncy vibe yet today, so hopefully we'll get going with that.
Yeah, actually nobody got the birdie today on hole number 1, so yeah, definitely playing tricky today.
Ohn's telling me about how skinny her aunt is, and she says she's skinnier than Ohn. I was like, that's skinny.
Wow. That is a little person.
Big shout out to Spinners on the Green for always hosting this awesome event. Here we are, hole number 2.
Hole number 2 is a par 3. It is 415 feet long.
Not a lot of danger of OB that you're going to find on this hole. Just making sure you can get around these trees and slide up there to have a look. Most of us are just trying to get this close for the tap in par. It's really difficult to get underneath the tree enough and have a look that you can get a jump putt at with those low hanging branches.
That's all right.
Ohn opting to tee off on the dirt there, and yourself as well.
Yeah, these tee pads are so slick in the rain. So this totally changes my shot. So now I can go around with the hyzer look on the little tree that's just been newly planted. I have been going turnover, so all of us are going to have some choices to make this round. It's, usually the third round, you've kind of decided exactly what you're going to do. Now we're back to like, what should we do?
Yeah, that can be a little disruptive when you're making new kinds of decisions during the tournament round.
Andrea gets a lot of height and great distance on that. I think she did better throwing over there on the dirt as well. So it's interesting. Maybe next time I'll just opt to go over there without the
Pick
rain.
one thing. Yep. Yep. Catching some branches there. This pin is pretty tucked away, especially if you're approaching from the right side.
Ohn had skipped it in on day 2. Doesn't get quite the skip. Almost knocked a couple birds out of the way, but she's going to be underneath it for the par.
So here you also have to keep it low.
Yeah, and luckily the ground play here is really fast. So you can slide it up there, but getting any air on your disc or any height on it to try to make the putt is almost impossible unless you skip it like Ohn did. So good luck with that though.
My goodness. So yours, I think it hit that tree, otherwise it would have skipped even closer to the pin.
Yeah, and I really can't give it much of a run, so I'm just going to lay it up and get that tap in par.
Nice putt by Ashley.
Ironwood's closest.
Nice easy tap ins.
Yep. All right, hole number 3 is a par 3. It is 360 feet long.
Decide to go hyzer along the right side or taking it straight at it, a little bit of a turnover or the lefty or forehand line on the left side. There is the sidewalk and the parking lot on the right that come into play, but not quite as tight OB as some of the previous holes. I'm going with that dominant forehand play.
Wow, she ripped on that one. It looks like it's right up there.
Yeah, probably about 40, 45 outside in circle 2.
Within range for Ohn.
Yes, for sure. And since I'm teeing from the dirt, I'm switching again to a hyzer on this hole. I had been throwing on the left side, so kind of changing up our lines a little bit with the rain.
It seems like moving over to the right brought those little trees into play a bit more too that were planted up there. Fairway a bit, maybe? Oh, and actually not on this one. There's some other holes that have.
Right, and Ashley lucky there stopping along the concrete because there is a very small area of OB in that ditch. And I think moving over to the right with Andrea kind of got her off her line, and she's trying to get going here. A little bit of a slow start. That's a beautiful forehand out, and that's going to set her up nicely. This is actually a really hard putt because, especially if you're short, Ashley's a little taller, but you get stuck behind those poles and you have to throw over them. So that can be a tricky spot and a lot of speed with the slope going down the hill. Oh, not even going to attempt it.
That looks good. A solid bid.
I
from
don't know.
C2,
Yeah, it was just a hair soft. I don't know actually how it missed the cage on just hitting low. But I was probably very lucky it didn't because you can get some nasty rolls. Par tap in. Kind of boring golf to get going here on this gloomy Sunday.
But on that moment was like the basket was slowed down. And these baskets are scary.
Just chatting away.
Ohn saying that I actually laid up.
My goodness. All right, moving on to hole number 4, which is a par 3. It is 381 feet long.
You can try to get around this big pine tree with the hyzer or come to the left of it. don't go too far left, you can see the OB line there along the left side that wraps around the back of the basket. This one was tricky to decide where to go because if you push over into the dirt where Ohn just threw, you really kind of get underneath this pine tree that's right off of the tee there. So I'm going to just risk it and try not to fall. Did
That
pretty
does look
good.
slick, but
Yeah, I was shocked. I thought I was going to slide a lot more, but was able to finally get it around the pine tree that I kept hitting on the previous round. So
And that's a great drive there. Ashley opting for the dirt tee pad, and looks like it's gonna. Okay, it skips off the wall.
yeah, it gets a good kick. You can accidentally throw right into the patios of some of those houses. It does happen. So she got wall instead of patio, and she will be safe as well as Andrea's drive. Very tricky spot to approach. I don't think it would matter if you're left hand or right hand. That's a hard spot to be in.
Wow, that was an awesome shot.
Yeah, she puts it right underneath. It looked like it was going so much further. Yeah, it kind of just fell out of the sky there. That's hard with that elevated approach. Ohn thought she was going to cash that one in. Just a hair soft from way downtown.
Oh, you get the top band, but that looked like a good bid from Circle 2.
I keep saying they're gonna fall.
A little bit soft there, but
Yeah, this green is super fast, so it locals, I think we kind of fear this a little bit more than people who probably aren't from here. Ashley knows if she gets too aggressive, that can end up 20 feet past the basket really quick.
so folks tapping out their pars.
I guess par golf is boring golf, but it's not bad golf. But
Yeah,
we
no harm done.
hopefully will get some birdies on this next hole.
Yep, moving on to hole 5, which is a par 4 actually. For FPO, it is 386 feet long.
Par 4 because of the 4 mandos here that we need to navigate between. You have 2 on the left, 2 on the right. So we have to make sure that we land our drive short of these 2 trees, or you can try to go between them if you're really gutsy there. But all of us are just going to try to throw that hyzer or flat shot to the middle of the fairway. Ohn going a little further left than she has been, but that's not really going to get in the way of her approach. Little bit there, gonna get caught up on that tree on the left. Again, with a par 4 though, as long as we can get a good upshot, it doesn't really matter where you land as long as it's safe.
Yeah, it seems like this hole, it's all about the upshot.
Right. Looked like Ashley was a little timid of that tee pad. She looked light on her feet.
Nice shot, Ashley.
But it's going to be a nice hyzer right to the middle.
Yeah, I mean, if you leave it out high, it won't get as much ground play, so that
Right.
is actually a nice idea.
About 200 feet away or so, and I thought I was just
Hit something.
dead
Oh my gosh.
on that target. Had to give it some juice to get the distance, that keeping it that low for so long. So I had to put a lot of spin on it. Unfortunately, I did not hit the metal.
Owns checks up next to the basket. Yeah, there's a lot of foliage on these leaves, so it's hard to even attack the basket if you wanted to.
Right. I don't even think from the drop. Maybe from the drop zone you could. There's that little bit of opening, but when you're 200 feet back, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
you have to keep it low. So it is a difficult approach when you're, I guess, really far back. You can get within 150 feet or so, then you can kind of get that good ground play. Andrea not going to attempt it with all those leaves and the super elevated basket we have here. And unfortunately, I slid outside circle.
Yeah, that looked like a great upshot. Too bad it didn't hit the base.
Yeah, definitely looked like it was all over it. Tapping out the par. Card mates, I will. I think Owen's got the birdie. I think Andrea made it. This is definitely a hole that we feel like you have to birdie just because it is a tweener distance. So yeah, Andrea and I with the pars.
Ashley got a birdie.
Ashley and Owen with the birdie. Finally get some action. Color on the scorecards.
Starting to warm up in the colder drizzles. All right, hole number 6. It is a par 5 for FPO. It is 783 feet long.
So OB line is going to separate hole 6 and hole 14 that comes along the left side. And then we have an OB line that protects the apartments over there on the right as well. So OB line fairway all the way down to Roosevelt. Owen cuts that a little low.
I thought it was in the ground, but it got a flare.
She has gotten so lucky so many times. I thought she was going to cut roll and just hits the angle just perfectly where it gets a good skip. Ashley just trying to get to a good spot. And
Yeah,
she
that
does.
one carried a ways as well, which is good. Now you're going on the right-hand gap.
No.
Yeah, but I switched off the tee, and I just
yeah.
let it get to my head. I've been throwing from the tee, and I take a little more of a diagonal hyzer route, and the dirt on this side was very narrow and kind of cuts into the hill. So it pushed me just enough right that I caught that tree.
Yeah, it's hard to get the walk-up angle right if you're choosing the dirt side.
Right. But still, we're all going to throw a couple big drives here, so I'm just going to grab the same destroyer and keep ripping it down the right
everything,
side.
And that's a great spot, I think.
Yep.
It is a par 5, so you have some room to throw some long shots and make up some missed shots here and there.
Yeah, the main thing, Andrea unfortunately finds it just kept turning to the left. I think the wind was picking up just a little bit. But if you can stay in bounds, this is a very easy, I wouldn't say easy par.
It's a gettable.
It's a definitely gettable par. You feel like you should get a par 5 as long as you keep it in bounds. But if you find OB, very quickly this becomes a very difficult hole. And you can find it on the first, second, or third shot. So...
Yep. Owen hits the ground a little bit.
Let's just shake it up. Let's all shake it up.
I think our entire card needed an espresso. We were just kind of not really getting in a rhythm yet. And we were just, I think maybe, I don't know, the cold rain. I don't feel like any of us were really throwing to our capabilities yet. So going with the big play, I did not range this because I thought I still was really far out, but got it up there. If all of these would just start hitting the pole and stopping, it'd be great.
Yeah, that was a fantastic shot. Hung it out over Ruby and it skipped right up to circle 1.
I won't have to worry about that new putting style if I just hit the pole.
Yeah,
I'll work on that. Andrea gets a pretty big skip over to the right side, but she is safe. Ashley was afraid of going left or right for the OB, so she's like, I'll just go straight over. And she uses that softball background and just tomahawks it over there. Nice and safe. Owen goes to her go-to, which is so accurate.
Yep, she's parked.
Little soft, she let it go just a little early, so that's going to skip to the right. Probably about 25 feet or so. And Andrea has to lay up. Like, those branches on this pine tree hang so low. If you get stuck on that right side, there is no attempt at a putt. Oh, great bid. Switching back to the elevated baskets. Have to get used to where you release the disc again.
Yeah, this one is quite elevated, so probably feels scary putting towards OB on any side, or
Not really. I don't think the OB comes to play or gets in your mind on this hole
okay,
putting, just the rollaways.
okay.
So if you hit cage at all and it flips up, you're probably going to roll 20 feet. And again, that's something the locals fear, but probably if you're traveling in town, you don't even worry about that, which is exactly your mindset that you
Yeah,
need.
ignorance is bliss, maybe.
Yes, for sure.
Also, nice birdie, by the way.
Thank you. Ashley's going to tap in the bogey, as well as Andrea with the OB stroke.
Moving on to hole number 7. It is a par 5 and it's 645 feet long.
So lots of danger on this hole. OB left and right. A couple of mandos that we must stay to the right of, as well as you do not want to cross that sidewalk we just flew over unless you land in the island that you will shortly see.
So,
Let this go a little bit early, so I knew I was going to get a huge skip to the left. You really, if you're going to be aggressive on this tee, you have to push that OB line all the way along the lake to land at a spot where you can attack the basket. And it's one of my favorite holes to attack. Ohn has a good placement. That's the line that you want. She doesn't have the distance to attack it, but that's the great spot on the right side of the fairway. I was kind of getting excited and greedy. I'd eagled this the first 2 days, so I wanted to try to get it all 3 days. Why we worry about that stuff, I don't know.
yeah.
Andrea's going to try to punch through over there in the left, and that'll be just fine to approach. And they cleaned up this branch. It was hanging so low in practice. I think they cleaned it up just a few days before the event, but it was hanging so low you could not throw underneath it. You were having to throw a turnover around. So it was fun to get out and see that they did some trimming on that.
So everyone's getting in position here to attack the island, and it looks like that went long OB, unfortunately.
Yeah, Andrea had previously been hanging it too close on the left side for the lefty to approach, so she was correcting from previous rounds, trying to get it on the right side of the fairway. Unfortunately, had a little bit too much distance on it, so she lands OB. Ashley's able to put it right on the edge of the sidewalk. Ohn laying up plenty short, and that's fine. You would rather lay up just a little short and not really try to push it, which is what I'm having to do, and I am trying not to get too aggressive there and just barely tossing it out.
How about her?
Because we can get it. That's probably less than 200 feet to go on, the highs are over. So Ohn perfect on that upshot. That's going to be a tap in.
The Spike Kaiser onto the island.
Spike Kaiser
and-
Toro. Yeah. Been a little long, not too bad.
Yep. So that's the drop zone. And another island hit.
This is a very tricky spot Ashley put herself in. She got the distance on getting up to the line perfectly, but you want to stay away from this mando tree because the leaves, as you can tell, are thick. But she does a nice little skip shot and gets right underneath there safely. These trees on this green have been hit a lot, lost a lot of its new leaves.
Great putt.
Good job, Ken.
Yeah, and that's where it's hard for me that far back to keep the height. Was able to let that one glide up and stay in.
It wasn't an eagle, but it probably still felt good.
It did. Great putt from Andrea as well.
Seems like the card is starting to wake up.
Finally warmed up. It was just, 5 degrees chillier. It'll do a lot to your game.
Trust me, I know.
Sofia joins us from Canada.
Yeah, I escaped down to watch this tournament.
There we go. Ashley saving par.
Thank you.
And this is also for birdie. And yeah.
Well done.
So good hole. And now we're moving over to hole number 8.
Short leg.
All right, hole number 8 is a par 3. It is 360 feet.
360 feet, 300 of that is going to be over the pond here on the left. You can pitch over on the right side. It is a very touchy layup or just attacking the green. Trying to not go too long either because all that sidewalk in the back is also OB. Going with my Halo Rock every day.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that was a great shot. That's
you.
a fun camera angle too.
That was, he stayed down there and almost got him a good, that would have been a good ace to be down there to record. I don't know how many aces he has recorded. He joins us he's one of the camera guys for the ASU. So this is one of Terry's helpers. Ashley going with the layup.
And that's a great spot to be for attacking the basket. Or laying up the basket. Another layup play by Andrea. This is a hard one for a lefty.
It is a very touchy spot. And we yelled for at our spectators there, but drop zone's going to set up perfect for the lefty. It's just so hard for her to try to land a drive there to shoot across. But gave it a run. I was blanking on Tyler's name. Sorry, Tyler. Tyler is our camera guy from ASU. I wanted to say Terry. I'm like, no, it's not Terry.
Yeah, he was doing a great job all weekend.
Ashley pulls that a little bit, but it's okay with the ground play. It's going to scoot up right next to the basket.
Ohn from Circle's Edge. Oh, a chain out.
Again, that's where I keep hitting on that left side, and that's the first time she's hit left side. So I guess that was good for me to see it. It doesn't just happen on when I'm hitting, but Ohn typically hits that dead center pole. And on these baskets, that's the sweet spot. Anything left or right, you will find yourself on the elevated baskets definitely spitting out. Starting to drizzle again out here. Never really got to a heavy rain, but enough that everything was a little slick.
And that's a great birdie right there. Yeah, it was raining on off all day, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Putting the umbrellas out, tucking them back in.
Yes, now it's coming.
So unfortunately, Andrea going OB gets the double bogey. Ashley tapping in par as well as Ohn, and I'm going to walk away with the birdie.
The only birdie on the day, actually.
Wow. It's a fun hole to get. Thanks, Terry, for coming down always and supporting us in Arizona. Here we are, hole number 9.
Hole number 9 is a par 3. It is 324 feet.
Did I overcorrect? No, come on.
And it's a little bit of a tweener distance for me. I really try to push the rock too hard, so I went up to the T-bird, but I have to be careful not to put too much on it. That OB sidewalk comes into play right behind the basket. Got to get clear of these trees right and left because typically they knock you down. I was going to say, Ohn looked like she made it all the way through. And then the lake does come into play on the left side as well. A little extra shoreline. The water is down today. Ashley needs to hit these branches to not go in the pond, and she does. I feel like this is one of the harder lefty holes. The next couple holes do play a little more fair for Andrea, but this tee shot, she definitely, maybe if she wanted to attack it a little bit more, get a little flippier disc, but she's just playing it out there for the par, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, attacking for birdie with a left-handed backhand would be very hard.
Yeah.
I shot.
Thank you.
Yeah. Little pavilion.
So accurate with those approach. Doesn't matter if it's backhand or her forehand skip shot. Puts it underneath the basket as well as Andrea. Just outside circle 1. Trying to worry about the height. This one is just a little, kind of a little higher than normal.
A nice par by Ashley.
You nailed
Putting
it.
straight at the water.
Yeah, with the ducks quacking, the airplanes flying right over our head. There's always some great action out at Vista. It's never a calm, quiet day.
Gotta finish it. I was gonna switch to regular putt.
Just
going
like
for it.
that. Yeah, front 9 is done on round 3. Ohn and I are trying to battle it out for first place, as well as the third place is a tight battle. Ohn at 18, I'm at 17 under. Emily Yell has jumped back up to 1 over for into third place, and Ashley and Andrea are at 6 and 9 over. Thanks for watching.